The following series contains graphic material and is intended for a mature audience. This podcast contains the impressions and the opinions of the hosts based on the information available to them at the time of this recording.
Well, the wound is, like I said, described earlier, is pretty deep because it goes all the way into the common carotid and the internal jugular vein, which are in the deep neck area, what we call the deep cervical regions.
There's just no way stabs and the injuries that poor woman sustained were caused by a horse. There's no way. It's not possible. You know, I've seen people that have been killed by horses. And, you know, with the size of even a small horse's foot, for it to try to go to the neck, it would absolutely demolish someone's chin, jaw, and collarbone before it would even cut anything. There's not enough space. There's no way, absolutely no way that a shoe and a horse could cause damage like was described.
Those are the opinions of distinguished equestrian Brian Powell after he reviewed Dr. Patricia Moore's autopsy report on Nancy Merck.
Brian trained and competed in horse shows internationally for over 35 years.
We previously shared with you that ranch owner Deborah Kay was found dead in a pool of blood on her bedroom floor just 8 months after Nancy's murder.
Deborah's throat had been slashed. She had a stab wound to the chest and multiple defensive wounds to her fingers and hand.
16-year-old ranch hand Jose Fernando Bustos Diaz confessed to her murder.
Just 8 months prior, Bustos Diaz was working at the Morning View Ranch the day Nancy Merck was killed.
Bustos Diaz pled guilty to Deborah's murder and received a 35-year prison sentence.
But as we've said before, that would not be the end of this saga.
In 2010, 5 years into his sentence, Bustos Diaz made yet another brazen move. It shouldn't have caught anyone off guard.
I'm TK Masters, corporate espionage operative and former detective. I've assumed dozens of aliases while running domestic and international sting operations, cracked multi-million-dollar fraud cases, investigated corrupt attorneys, and there are some cases I still can't discuss.
I'm Dr. M, neurosurgeon, attorney, and writer. After performing surgery for many years, I retired my scalpel and went to the dark side. Now, TK and I will use our combined investigative, medical, and legal expertise to analyze the most compelling and complex crime cases.
Together, we are Sleuth
and Surgeon.
This is episode 5 of Two Horse Sleigh.
While Bustos Diaz was in prison, Waller County did not certify him as a juvenile or charge him with Nancy's murder.
Furthermore, evidence from Nancy's autopsy remained untested.
Randy Smith, the Waller County sheriff in 2004 when Nancy was murdered, retired in 2008.
Then, in 2010, in another interesting turn, Randy Smith replaced Dwayne Charleston as Waller County Justice of the Peace.
Previously, we discussed how Charleston was charged with conspiracy to commit federal programs fraud, including soliciting and accepting bribes, and he was terminated after pleading guilty.
In April 2010, Jose Fernando Bustos Diaz, then 21 years old, had been incarcerated in the Briscoe Unit for about 5 years.
The 420-acre Briscoe Unit, named after former Texas Governor Dolph Briscoe, is approximately 70 miles southwest of San Antonio.
It opened in 1992 and housed medium to minimum security prisoners.
The prison had a furniture-making factory where Bustos Diaz worked along with 27-year-old Octavio Ramos Lopez, also from Mexico.
Ramos Lopez was serving 20 years for aggravated kidnapping and 12 years for possession and intent to deliver cocaine.
Here you have 2 inmates convicted of vicious crimes working in the furniture factory in a medium to minimum security prison.
So what happened next is not surprising.
At 7:10 a.m. on April 6, 2010, Bustos Diaz and Ramos Lopez were reported missing from the factory.
The details were sketchy, but the 2 inmates supposedly escaped through ventilation ducts or a large ventilation fan in a wall. About 25 yards from the factory, Bustos Diaz and Ramos Lopez cut through a perimeter fence topped with razor wire.
The inmates likely had outside help and were picked up by accomplices.
Understandably, the Texas Department of Corrections faced intense scrutiny.
Many wondered whether Bustos Diaz and Ramos Lopez also had inside help.
Tara Kay, Deborah Gail Kay's stepdaughter, was outraged. Why had Bustos Diaz been incarcerated in a medium to minimum security prison?
It's a valid question because convicts like Bustos Diaz, who've committed violent crimes and been given long sentences, are usually housed in maximum security prisons.
But the 2 inmates were gone, and the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the Frio County Sheriff's Office issued arrest warrants for both escapees.
4 months later, in August 2010, Octavio Ramos Lopez was found in an apartment in McAllen, Texas, with 150 pounds of cocaine.
Ramos Lopez faced new drug charges and in 2012 was sentenced to 29 years in federal prison.
After completing that sentence, he will be returned to the Texas Department of Correction to serve the remainder of his state sentence.
But Bustos Diaz remained free to kill again.
A few months after Bustos Diaz escaped from prison, Southeast Texas Forensic Center, where Nancy's autopsy was done, closed.
Heather Reyes, who was initially employed as an administrative assistant at Southeast Texas in 2004 and later worked there as an autopsy technician, helped close the center.
In 2010, she worked on opening the new Montgomery County Forensic Services Department.
Ms. Reyes never forgot Nancy's case or how law enforcement handled it.
It did sit out on my desk for many years.
So it just really seemed like they really just thought, the horse did it and that was it. That nobody ever treated it like a homicide investigation.
She commented on the impressions of other in-house doctors who looked at Nancy's case.
Kind of the same response to every doctor that did look at it. They're like, yeah, that's stab wound.
Ms. Reyes also recounted how Dr. Moore was treated by law enforcement after ruling Nancy's death a homicide.
She felt like they did not have a very high opinion of her when she was trying to express that there's no way a horse did this. This is not a horse injury. We've seen horse injuries. That's blunt trauma. Like, a horse doesn't stab you. Obviously.
Miss Reyes had another interesting recollection.
I didn't know that we did any business with Waller County after this case.
I think they kind of cut us off and did not send us any more cases.
Finally, she described how law enforcement typically handled evidence collected at autopsy.
As far as picking up the evidence, they usually take all of it, especially if there's injuries. Very rarely would they not take all of the evidence.
But law enforcement let Nancy's sexual assault kit sit at Southeast Texas Forensic Center.
On September 16, 2010, the kit, case file, and additional specimens were sent to the newly built Montgomery County Forensic Services Department.
The Montgomery Forensic Department would process cases from that county as well as surrounding counties, including Waller, and Dr. Sparks Vesey was named the director.
Dr. Vesey was quite a character. He served in the Air Force and was a pathologist at Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
While in his 40s, Dr. Vesey earned a law degree and worked for several years as an assistant district attorney in Brazoria County, Texas, before returning to work as a pathologist.
At the Montgomery Forensic Department, Dr. Vesey was known for chewing tobacco, quoting lines from films, and belting out show tunes.
In criminal cases, prosecutors often call forensic pathologists to testify about their autopsy findings. Dr. Vesey had a down-to-earth manner, which juries just loved.
While the pathologist may be friendly with law enforcement and the district attorney's office, the pathologist is an independent investigator. His job is to state the truth.
To paraphrase Detective Joe Friday in the TV show Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am.
A line Dr. Vesey may well have quoted.
Dr. Vesey was familiar with Nancy's case. He worked with Dr. Patricia Moore at Southeast Texas Forensic Center.
Importantly, Dr. Vesey agreed with Dr. Moore's findings regarding Nancy's autopsy.
Now, Nancy Merck's sexual assault kit was sitting in Dr. Vesey's forensic center. It may have been his interest which advanced Nancy's case.
In May 2014, 10 years after Nancy's murder, Deputy Craig Davis inspected the evidence in the vault at Waller County Sheriff's Office.
The sealed packages had a lab number and appeared to be the same evidence which had been taken to the lab in Austin on July 3, 2004. And that evidence probably consisted of Nancy's clothes and the sheet.
Deputy Davis also examined a container which held the fingernail scrapings. On May 22, 2014, Waller County Captain Brian Cantrell took those scrapings to the Department of Public Safety lab in Houston.
Potentially, the fingernail scrapings would provide useful DNA results.
We know DNA can degrade over time, especially when exposed to heat or ultraviolet light, but the fingernail evidence was sealed in paper bags and stored inside with temperature control for 10 years.
Unfortunately, the result from the testing of the fingernail scrapings was disappointing. No profile was determined.
And apparently, law enforcement clung to their fantasy the horse killed Nancy.
Approximately 1 week later, a box containing a horseshoe was removed from the evidence vault. Photos were taken, and the shoe was again examined by a farrier.
In June 2014, Captain Cantrell contacted Sergeant Eric Clegg of the Harris County Sheriff's Office and requested the DNA profile of Jose Fernando Bustos Diaz.
After Bustos Diaz was arrested in 2005 for Deborah Kay's murder, Harris County collected his DNA from buccal swabs.
These swabs are a good source of DNA because buccal cells, which line the inside of the cheek, shed constantly.
Warren DeProm was the Waller County District Attorney working Nancy's case. He joined the office in September 2014.
Previously, DeProm was with the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office and interacted with Dr. Vesey.
DeProm explained how he became involved in Nancy's case in a November 2022 episode of the television show In Pursuit with John Walsh.
The show focuses on tracking down fugitives and finding missing children.
Warren DeProm was interviewed in an episode which highlighted the escape of Bustos Diaz.
In the segment, DeProm stated he was hired by the Waller County DA's office to review cold cases and get a second opinion on the cause and manner of death of Nancy Merck.
But was it really a cold case?
A cold case is a criminal investigation which has been actively pursued, then abandoned because of lack of evidence. It could be argued a criminal investigation was not actively pursued in Nancy's case.
Exactly. We know the stall where she was killed was not treated as a crime scene, and her body was originally sent to a mortician, not a forensic pathologist. Unbelievably, her family was told the horse killed her, and the pathologist's ruling of a homicide was rejected.
And Waller County had evidence. The sexual assault kit remained untested for 10 years.
DeProm also mentioned getting a second opinion on the manner and cause of death,
which I think was needless because Nancy's clothing and wounds clearly said it all.
And we've discussed Dr. Moore's credentials as a board-certified pathologist who completed more than 3,000 autopsies.
She ruled Nancy's death a homicide and never equivocated, despite multiple attempts by Waller County Sheriff's Office to dissuade her.
In January 2015, Heather Reyes, now at the Montgomery County Forensic Services Department, released Nancy's autopsy report and photos to DeProm.
A right Giemsa stain from Nancy's sexual assault kit was obtained later that month. This stain is used to visualize sperm. Dr. VC called Dr. Moore with the results.
Sperm were seen.
Those results seemingly spurred Waller County Sheriff's Office to finally test Nancy's sexual assault kit.
It was sent to the Department of Public Safety lab in Houston on March 30th, 2015, almost 11 years after her murder.
Shortly thereafter, Nancy's husband, Wayne Wilner, was contacted by the Waller County Sheriff's Office.
A couple of detectives wanted to talk to me, and they came here, and we sat in this room.
Lieutenant Heather Sanders with the Waller County Sheriff's Office met with Wayne and told him new evidence had been discovered.
Well, they opened it by saying, they had some DNA evidence. They were wanting to link it to a person of interest, and they had more questions.
Lieutenant Sanders asked Wayne about his relationship with Nancy and their finances.
Wayne informed the lieutenant there was no strain regarding their relationship or finances.
The meeting concluded with a bombshell. Lieutenant Sanders said it was now believed Nancy had been murdered.
Wayne Wilner was in shock. He recalled he couldn't speak and choked up as he attempted to process the loss of Nancy all over again.
And Nancy's children were stunned, unable to comprehend how her death went from being kicked by a horse to a homicide.
And what was this new evidence?
The new evidence, as it was referred to by Waller County law enforcement, was the DNA result from the 11-year-old sexual assault kit.
What would testing of the kit reveal?
We'll share those results in our next episode.
As in all criminal matters, persons are considered innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. You should not approach or make contact in any way with any suspect or wanted fugitive named in the content of this program or any related social media site, as they may be dangerous. For more information and photos related to this case, visit our YouTube channel @sleuth&surgeon.